The ordinance we have proposed would prohibit all public roads, rights-of-way, and routes of travel located on public lands in Josephine County are to remain open to the free use of the public for the multiple purposes described in the Federal Land Management Policy Act. The placement, creation, erection, or maintenance of any physical obstruction, gate, berm, or other impediment to the free multiple use of the public roads, routes, right-of-ways on public lands, administered by the federal agencies pursuant to the Federal Land Policy Management Act is hereby prohibited. We would request that the board adopt the ordinance as proposed. In the event that the Board of Commissioners does not feel inclined to adopt such an ordinance, we would also request that you put the matter to a referendum to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swift. Sheriff Robertson.
I didn't come tonight prepared to get into any depth on the discussion. I support this resolution 100%. The federal government has been trying to close off areas, and they have. They've closed many roads in this county over the years. Those roads, however, are still there, but they don't show up on the maps. And I went back quite a ways in history. There's a lot of roads that have been closed, according to them, but still exist. My issue is the public health, safety, and welfare is at risk here. One only needs to look back at the Biscuit fire, and most recently the fires we just had. The federal government has done a very poor job in managing those lands and created a real risk to this population, to the public here. They came up with a travel management plan some time ago, and it's been tabled. But what they're trying to do is, and the way it was explained to me, is they want to close the roads out in the county so that a person, a citizen of this county, cannot use a back road to get from one county to the other. They have to go in through a highway, come out of the highway. They cannot cross into another county. And that was their goal. They sent me a request for my input. They said I had 45 days. And I got to looking at what the choices were, my options. There were 4 of them. Option 1, I was told, was not acceptable. They would not recognize it. Option 1 was do nothing at all. Well, guess which one I choose? Let me share this with you too. A couple of years ago, I wrote a letter to Washington, D.C. and expressed my concern about public health, safety, and welfare. I went to, well, in fact, I've got keys to BLM and U.S. Forest Service roads gates. I had yet to find a road that those keys work on, a gate that those keys work on. I told them, if I need to remove that gate, I'm going to remove it. If I need to get in there, in fact, we had a search and rescue operation, and we thought the individual was up a certain road. We asked U.S. Forest Service, would you please come and unlock the road? They declined. In the letter I wrote to Washington, I said, and I'm glad to share that with you, I told them that if a person dies as a result of the sheriff's office, fire ambulance, if somebody loses their life as a result of not having access to get up to them, that I would do everything I could to make sure that the surviving family would sue the living daylights out of the federal government for their callous disregard for public life. So anyway, I got to run. I got another meeting to go to, but I wanted to express my sincere concern over this issue. I think the public safety, health, and welfare are at risk. And in fact, I'll even throw this one out. In General Law, Article 10 of 1901, it says that any road that was in place had not been challenged by a political subdivision. If I can finish.
Go ahead and finish your
okay. If a road was in place for 10 years, for a period, and not challenged by a political subdivision within that 10 years, it was a permanent road. 2477 roads are under the jurisdiction of the county. So I ask that the citizens take a look at this proposal, and as I stated before, I emphatically support it. Thank you.
sheriff is going with is that 10-year period. After 10 years, if a road is still there, the road becomes public domain. Public domain land is out of their jurisdiction.
I'm in favor of open roads because in fact the county has paid and had a lot invested in these roads.
I've taken up 144 pictures off just simply 2 roads of demonstrating the gravity of the closed gates that's up there. A lot of this territory is where I hunted, so what I'm trying to also connect the dots to is the hunters and the tourists that comes up through this area, hunting or just driving. Josephine County has lost an untold amount of revenue just in this recreational exercise.
The necessity to come before you is sad, that your interpretation of the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oregon leaves a great deal left unproductive.
The roads need to stay open. There's a lot of people all across America that have had enough. And soon, I believe the government's going to go down.
I'm amazed. I mean, with the Sheriff Gill saying that he had keys to these gates that were locked and didn't have the proper keys. I mean, that's unbelievable. Unbelievable that such a thing would concur like that.
Larry Ford, 136 Ferry Ordinance passed. I think it goes without saying that the resolution that Jack proposed to you tonight would be well worth endorsing and forwarding.
I think I stated that I support Mr. Swift's petition. However, that is not the first time that I've heard of 2477 roads being closed. I'm quite familiar with that issue out of Flipma, and we have been working on this issue for a long time. If simply passing a resolution would have done the trick, we have resolutions that address this issue and have had them for quite some time that address this. It's the next step. It's the legal process that is required on the back of a resolution that this board passes that is the challenging step to make sure that those roads stay open for ingress and egress, for the health, safety, and welfare of the people in Josephine County and those who visit and work in our area. That's what inspired me to make sure that those roads stay open. I've hunted and fished in those areas my entire life, and I expect to be able to have access like everyone else does, because we did pay for them. What Mr. Scott referenced was the plowback funds, which equal $1.9 billion of unavoided revenue to the 18 ONC counties from the time when we elected to do that 25% back to the federal government, and specifically the BLM, to build, maintain, and have those roads available for the economy and other uses in rural parts of the 18 ONC counties. They're different. We paid for those. We avoided the revenues. So I think there's a real argument there to say that we have stock vested interest and a legal interest in making sure that those are open. That's really important. To address the issue of selecting a chair, we have always selected it at the weekly business session.